All right, this hearing is now in session and is being recorded. My name is Kelly Mines and I am the hearing officer. Make sure I'm not muted, okay? Today is June 25th and the time is 11:25. I did not receive any requests for accommodation to participate in this hearing by June 23rd. The purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for public comment on proposed rules in OAR Chapter 690, Division 512. In addition to presenting oral comments at this hearing, anyone may submit written comments until 5 p.m. on August 7th, 2025, which is the close of the public comment period. You may send comments to Kelly Mines, KELLYMEINZ, at Oregon Water Resource Department, 725 Summer Street Northeast, Suite A, Salem, Oregon 97301, or email wrd_DL_rural-coordinator@water.oregon.gov. Comments received after 5 p.m. on August 7, 2025 will not be reviewed or considered by the agency unless the agency decides to extend the public comment period for everyone. The department will not respond to questions during this hearing. After the close of public comment, the department personnel will prepare a staff report to the Water Resources Commission, which will be available from the department. I am now going to call those people in order who signed up for the public hearing, starting with John Short. Please stand up and state your name for the record.
John Short. I guess I disagree with regulating back the most the areas that have the least problems. Where Silver Creek and Lower Blitzen have inches of drop, haven't hit 50-foot trigger point, haven't hit the 3 foot per 10 year, 3 foot per year for consecutively for 10 years. But it only looks like they might cross the pumping more than recharge. It seems like the areas that are hurt most by dropping hundreds of feet should have the most restrictions or cutbacks.
Wayne Evans.
Yes, Wayne Evans. I agree with him, and that's kind of the way I feel. But like I said, I've kept a complete roster of what all of my wells, the wells have done, including the ones that Philip has done. And everything has gone up in the last 20 years. And in the last few years, we have gone stable. Nobody's going down with all the lowest water is being pumped here. So that's the way I feel. I feel just like he did. I don't feel like you should cut Philip off or me either at all. Because we're not going to affect what's happening down there. I don't care. Years ago, when I first came here in 1995, my partner and I hired a hydrogeologist out of Idaho. And he spent 2 weeks here, 2 of them did. They drilled holes all over this flat up and checked the water. They started on Dry Mountain, they came down, and they came up with their idea of what the actual route of the water was as far. And anyway, the water does not go south from up here. The water goes dead east. Dead west. Or dead west, southwest, it's right down. That's where the aquifer that they said that they came up with went that way. So, you know, I don't think any of us really know where the aquifer really is. You know, so.
Okay, Lorenzo Stinkhouse.
So the rules and how much they're regulating back the non-critical areas and how that the rules have designated critical areas that don't meet critical groundwater designation standards. As defined in OAR 690-008-001 overdrawn. We do not fit that definition by the definition stated in rule. And therefore, once Weaver has been reduced back, we are and you include the natural ET discharge and the natural spring and all that discharge, we will be in equilibrium, but the law doesn't allow you to put that into in the calculations for the definition of overdrawn, but even if you want to calculate that to preserve springs, then we've allotted enough water to keep those springs going as they are. And so we do not fit the definition. I feel that the rules have overstepped their bounds and putting in Donner, Lower Donner and Blitzen, parts of Sylvies and the Silver Creek area into the critical designation area that does not meet the requirements. Also, along with not meeting the requirements, the rules and statutes and policies in Oregon say that you do not have to designate a whole aquifer system as critical. You can break that up by pieces, but the department has taken it upon themselves and chose to put areas that are not in the critical groundwater, don't meet the criteria. They have chose to put us in there by using whatever parameters that they've thought to use without substantial evidence to back up what really is causing a decline if they want to use springs against us. They have not considered factors like the geology and the fault lines and other factors that could be contributing other than pumping. I also think that the department has not considered the public welfare, safety, and health in these rules. And the reason I say that is because they never once talked about the environmental impacts of farmland that is being fallowed, which causes soil degradation, which causes your soil quality and nutrients to go down, causes erosion, excess runoff, and the loss of carbon sequestering, which is very important to the environmental world. You're losing that. We are losing wildlife habitat by every acre that we are drying up. That is also a loss to public welfare, health, and safety that has never been considered. The only thing that has ever been talked about in that is the cause of a spring, which we do not even know the exact impacts because we do not have enough sufficient data. As also said in some of the meetings, Water Resource Department had admitted that their spring information was lacking and they could not use it in the models to accurately model the conditions of the springs. So therefore, they need to consider the economic impact and what we are losing in the 61 million basin-wide loss, and that they need to reduce their reductions into these less critical areas to help this community, the Harney Basin, have less losses. Their reductions are over-regulated, and their reductions when they go into an area that drops and does not meet critical groundwater standards, and they go and they take away 40 to 50%, and they go to areas that are less and they only drop them by 10%. We want to share the impacts, but we don't have to put it on everybody that doesn't qualify for that, if that's the reason why we're reducing everybody. Also, I don't think that the rules have taken in consideration other losses, like the loss of our electric company, because the rates are gonna go so high up because farmland is not gonna be able to subsidize. People in town are not gonna be able to afford. So when Harney loses their power, that definitely affects the public welfare, health, and safety. So my comments would be that they need to, take out the less critical areas. I would say Lower Blitzen and Voltage, the Silver Creek area and parts of Sylvies that don't qualify under their rules and statutes for a critical groundwater area, and be taken back. And we need to consider that if you will not do that, then we need to consider realistic reductions, not 40%. You cannot go into an area and devastate them and bankrupt people over inches of water. In the state of Oregon, a year ago, the Water Commission adopted rules that said that new permits, these are new people, that their water is acceptable, reasonable, and sustainable use at a 0.6 feet a year droppage. They're allowed to do that anywhere else in the state and have a 25-foot decline before they could be regulated. It doesn't say they have to be regulated. It's before the state would actually come in and start regulating them. We do not qualify or even come to these standards that they put out for the rest of the state. But because they've chosen to designate as critical, We now have higher standards and we are now considered not sustainable at the same rates that every other place in the state would be sustainable. So I think that the policies and the regulations need to be re-looked at because they are definitely over-regulated. Thank you.
Okay, is anyone else wish to make a public comment? Please, staff, take your name again, please.
John Short again, I guess I was offer maybe a solution, whatever is, I wonder if a solution would be to put off regulating these areas that don't meet the critical groundwater. Let's say till the 2034 point, so we'd be able to see the impacts of like shutting off Weaver Springs, see what that has on both Silver Creek and Lower Blitzen. It sure looks like from the contour lines that Weaver Springs is affecting my comment.
Anybody else wish to make a public comment at this time? Please state your name for the record.
Mario Petrilli Burns. The Warm Springs area has been studied to death since 1909, USGS reported by Fred Waring. The problem for the department is they haven't had a way of measuring the output of those springs. There are 4 clusters down there. Each one is almost individualistic. You have some that are from surface flow, some that are thermal that are coming out of the Brothers Fault. And actually, when you take a look overall, we are wetter the past 2.5 years, those springs are vital. There's only one spring that's still depressed. The issue is, before we decide that the springs are the ultimate goal for this particular sub area, can the department take more time or develop a way to measure in the past actual flows from the spring area? It can be done with space observatories, space satellites, Landsat, Sentinel. That would be more valuable and more information when we get into a further process and adjustments when it comes to the actual final rule. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to make a public comment? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pause the hearing, give 10 minutes, come back and check to see if there's anyone else who wishes to make a comment, and then I will adjourn the meeting. So we will meet back at 11:47. It is 11:47 on June 25th, 2025. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a public comment at this time? Nicole. All right. I have read all the names. I have called the names of everyone who has commented early. Thank you for coming, providing us with your comments. This hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you guys for coming.